Hello everyone, welcome to 12am Coding. So today we are going to see about a very important concept in Java, which is asynchronous programming in Java, how you can do the asynchronous programming. And then we'll be discussing about a very beautiful class in Java, which is CompletableFuture, which will help us to implement this asynchronous programming. Okay, so let me first tell you an example of a simple request. Okay, and one request is there, let's say one function you created. In that function, three database calls are happening. Okay, one, two, and then third call is happening. Now the thing is that these calls are taking, let's say, this particular call is taking 3 seconds. Okay, and this particular call is taking 4 seconds, and also this particular call is taking 3 seconds. So in total, if you count about all these calls, then what will happen? Once, like, when will your request will be served, right? 3 seconds plus 4 seconds, 7, and then 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, you will get the output. And what I told, like these particular calls, let's say these are independent calls. Okay. These calls are not dependent upon each other. Means the input of one call is not dependent upon the output of other call. So we don't need to wait this much, right? So let me tell you example of a restaurant. Okay. Let's say one restaurant is there, and let's say there are three tables. Okay, and one waiter is coming to each and every table, okay, and then taking the order, and he will go back to the kitchen. Okay, there is a kitchen, and this kitchen he will tell the chef actually. So there is one waiter is here. Okay, this waiter will be going to each and every table, taking the order and telling to the chef. So if you think about a real time scenario, then it's not like that this particular waiter will be going to one table, okay, and then it will be staying in this particular table until the order is prepared, right? Let's say you ordered something. Okay, let's say you ordered some paratha or biryani something, and then this what this waiter will do, this will just take the order, right? And this will then go to the another table, take the order, and then it will go to the another table. And meanwhile, before going to another tables, it is also informing the chef to make the orders. Okay, right? It is not staying at this particular place until that is prepared. So this is a synchronous task actually. It is just taking the orders and it is giving to the chefs, and chefs are preparing and at the same time, right? So in this particular case, what is happening, that in 3 seconds, 4 seconds, and 3 seconds, 10 seconds it is taking. So if we make all these calls as async, async means like if you execute all these things on parallel, right, then what will happen, in how much time it will, like first call will take 3 seconds, then 4 seconds, then 3 seconds. So what you will do, one thread will execute this particular task, then you will open another thread which will execute this task, and then third thread which will execute this task, and all these tasks will be happening in parallel actually. So in maximum of 4 seconds you are able to complete your work. So this is the beauty of asynchronous programming. So in the same way in restaurant, when the chef orders are ready, then he will give to the waiter, and it's not like waiter will stay to the table until that order is prepared. He just provided the inventory of the orders, and then until like it is prepared, he will be taking the orders from the different tables. So in the same way, in the programming also it happens. So I think I am able to explain you this particular thing. Okay, so now let's see through the programming, through the code in Java, how you can implement this particular thing. So there is one very important class in Java which is CompletableFuture. So here I have just created the object of this particular class. Not object actually, I just created one class, CompletableFuture. And let me create one method. Okay. In this method, what I'm going to do right now is, like, we will be reading about this completable future, and this class is introduced in Java 8. There are multiple methods you can do asynchronous programming in Java, like with a future class and with the threads, but this is the very latest and very easy way to implement the this asynchronous programming. And we will be seeing how we can implement this in our Spring Boot application later. First, let's see in the Java. So what you can simply do, you can just do completable future. Okay, you can just call this particular class, and then you can do supply async. And in this, what you can do, you can, we need a lambda actually. This is the lambda expression. And let's say here I am waiting for thread.sleep. Let's say 5 seconds I am waiting into this particular call. and let me surround it with try catch and let me return something from here. Okay, one a string. Let's say task running. Okay, simply because this particular call needs a uh, return statement also. Okay, and then after, let's say I am doing just in main. Okay, so what I've done here, this is nothing sophisticated. It is just a lambda we have created with the completable future, and this will provide us the implementation of async. Actually, we are providing the async. Okay, and this will take a supplier actually. So we will be reading about the suppliers and all in later tutorials, but for now just concentrate on it, that it will be executing this particular asynchronously. Means in this we have waited for the 5 seconds. Okay, so it will not wait for the 5 second here. It will just execute this whatever inside, and it will come out of this particular um, place. It will come out this particular supplier, and then it will be executing this main. So let me run this particular program for you and see what happens. So if you see, we are just printing in main. Okay, we are not printing this like anything. We are not waiting actually for 5 seconds. And for example, here also let me add a print statement that in async. Okay, so if I run this particular program now, then if you see, only in main got printed, because what is happening that we just submitted this particular request. It will wait for 5 seconds in the backend, but as this main method is completing at this particular point, so it is not like we are not seeing this particular happening. So to wait for this particular to happen, okay, what you can do, you can first of all we can return from it actually. So what we can do, as it is returning a string, so let me do, or completable future equals to this one. So what I did, I just, if you see the return type of this one, it is a completable future and then some generic. So as I'm returning a string here, task running, so let's say I need to wait for this particular task to happen, then what I can do dot get actually. Okay, and this will be returning me the string. Okay, string, let's say str. So what I did, and here I need to add exception actually, because it's a checked exception. We already read about the checked exception, right? So this is about this. Okay, so as soon as I did get, then it will block this particular call actually. So what will happen, that this particular uh, uh, code will be running into one thread. It will come out, then this will run, but it will be waiting for this particular thread now. So let me run this particular code now and see. So if you see, it is waiting for 5 seconds, then it will print this in async, and then for main it printed. So if you want to block this particular call, then you need to call a get actually, and you can print this string also here. Let's say let me print this, and if you again run it, then again it will wait for 5 seconds. It will print this particular in async, then task running it will print, and then we came out and in main. So currently if you see, it's not asynchronous programming, right? We just block this particular call here. And there is one more method. If you see, in completable future there are lots of methods, so rather than get, you can use join also. Okay, and what's the difference between these? This get is a checked exception. Okay, it throws a checked exception, and join doesn't throw. So if you see, we don't need to define any exception here. So now if I run this particular code, then also it will be waiting for this particular thread or particular code to happen, and then in main is printing. Okay, so now you can ask me, what is the benefit of this particular? If you are doing a get or join, right, you are blocking this particular call. Okay, so again, it's not a sophisticated, like, don't think about it much, we'll be reading it later. You just think about, we just waited for 5 seconds and we did it in async actually. So how we can execute it in a synchronous way? Okay, and there is one more method. Let me before moving to that, let me show you, like, let's say let me comment out this particular and cf. Okay, dot, if you say dot now, like if anything you can print, right? uh, Running. So what it will do, it will just wait for this it will not wait for this particular. As soon as this particular command you or code will be executing, this running you will be getting, or you can print it also actually. Okay, so this will be returning me the running. So running and in main. So get now means currently, like it will be waiting for this particular, it has run the thread, and then it will be running this particular, and it is getting you this particular string right now. It is not waiting for it to complete. Okay. So let me show you the beauty of this completable future now. So what I will do, I will create one more future. So this F1, let me name it as, and let me name it as F2. Okay. This is the second object I have created. Okay. And in this one, in async 1, let me type, and in async 2, let me type. Okay. And here, let me do one thing, that now it comes to this particular example. If you are having multiple calls, okay. So if I do here that f1 dot get, okay, get I'll do here, okay, and then also here also I do f1 dot get, that it means it will be waiting for these particular threads, okay. But I don't want this particular to happen, right? I want to execute these two calls, these two 5 seconds wait into asynchronous, okay, asynchronously. So what you can do, that you can do completable future dot, there is a method all of, and here you can provide your futures actually f1 and then comma f2, okay. And this particular will be returning you void, actually void completable future. So uh, completable future, and then this will return you void, okay. And here I can do cf now, and now after that you can do cf dot join. So what is happening, just bear with me, just be with me in this particular thing, that you executed your 5 seconds, it will be executed in one thread. Second, you have executed, and it will be executed in another thread, as are this and this particular call. And then we are joining these particular calls, these two. So in total, rather than waiting for 5 second here, 5 second here, it will just to wait for 5 second, like it will just execute this one, at the same time it will come here, and both will be executing, and as we are joining it together, so these two calls will happen in parallel. Let me show you. So in our case, both of these statements should be printing in the same time, right? So let me run it. It's just waiting. Okay, so if you see, we just waited for the 5 seconds, and in async 1 and is in async 2 both printed at the same time. So whatever code you are having inside, it will be executed in the asynchronous way. So we just joined. And let's say one more thing you can do, rather than this particular, you can join them differently also. Let's say you need their output also. Okay. So for example, f1 dot join here, and then f2 dot join. So it will be waiting for the same time. Okay. So let me run it. So these two calls, it's the same kind of, actually. We are just, so if you see async 2, async 1, actually it depends like in the order which completed first. So that's what happening. In this, async 2 got first and async 1. But both are executed in asynchronous way. Okay. So this is the particular thing. Now one more thing you can do with these, that rather than defining the get here, you can do directly get here also, okay, or join here also, okay. And after doing the join, it needs a string, it is saying, because this particular supplier is returning you the string, okay. So string, let's say str, and then, or it will not return this particular now. So as we already joined it, so str you can print dot, or like simply string you can print. So now it will be waiting for 5 seconds here, and it will be printing task running. In async 1 first it printed, because after 5 seconds this we are printing, then task running, and then we are printing in main from the down. So this is the beauty of this completable future, as I have shown you with the two calls actually. So in the same way, if you want to implement something, then you can return the completable future from those methods. Like in next tutorial we'll be seeing how you can implement this particular concept in Spring Boot through @async annotation, and there we will be seeing the real power of this completable future. Okay, we will be creating different methods, and we will be executing them in the asynchronous way. So yeah, that's it for this particular tutorial. If you are having any questions related to this asynchronous, then definitely put in the comment section. And if you like the video, press the like button, subscribe the channel, and share with your friends. So yeah, see you in the next tutorial. Thank you for now.